Hey, welcome everybody to another Speed Seekers podcast. Today's guest is Danny van Dongen of Hankook Motorsports. Danny, did I get your name right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, perfect. No, right away, good.
Good,
Good
good,
start.
good.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for taking some time to talk to us about tires and motorsport and everything. And hey, I'm curious to know your background and sort of how you gotten started in motorsports and how you got involved with Hankook and what you're doing now with Hankook. So, can you just kind of give us all a bit of your background?
Yeah, for sure. As you can hear, I got a little dialect in my English. I'm from Holland. I'm born and raised really close to Zandvoort. It's the racetrack over there.
Cool.
It's a little bit more famous now because with the F1 that's coming over to the track, so it's more on the map again. Back in the days, they had the last F1 race in '85, and everybody's really excited to get the F1 race back there. I'm basically born next to the racetrack. My father was a race car driver, and he was working next to the racetrack at the skid school. In Holland, you got a skid school, how to control a car when the car starts sliding.
Yeah,
it's same. It was a bit similar as Bob on the Run over here in the US, where you can learn how to control a car, and that was my place where I grew up. So racing was involved in my life on a really young age already. When I was 6 years old, I started go-karting and playing around with cars when I was 13. And then I signed up for a scholarship for a contest. They organized back in the days. They had a challenge where you could win a race season. So I thought, hey, this is my opportunity because we all know racing is expensive. So I signed up and I finished second, and they gave me back in the days $20,000 to start my racing career. And from that point, I start winning and start more involved and moved up in the racing ladder. So that was my first start in racing. First with little cars, with touring cars. It was a Citroën Saxo. Maybe you know the car. It's a car from France, a little small touring car.
Yeah.
That was my first season, and what I said, the success came, and I moved up in the ladder that I became the factory driver for Marcos. Marcos is a car from the UK.
Yeah. That's cool.
I was driving there back in the days with this is probably a name that you recognize with Mark Gooses, the Goose.
Yes.
He did a lot of racing in the US, and back in the days he was my mentor. So I think that was a good schooling. I drove for 5 years for Marcos all over Europe, and after a while. I was in contact with Praga. Praga is a little prototype. Maybe you know what kind of car it is.
They're very cool.
They're made in Slovakia. So I was flying every week back and forth to Slovakia to test the car and make it ready for some series first in Europe, and then they decide to introduce the car over here in the US, and they needed a driver, and that was me. So that's part of my racing career.
So were you were responsible for sort of introducing the Praga into the North American market then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that was me. So
I remember when that was happening. So I just never put two and two together. So.
Oh shoot! I was flying a lot back and forth to the US as well. I was still living in Holland. Now I live full time over here in Austin, Texas. I was responsible for that to showcase the car and get some results with the car. We did a lot of driving at Monticello, the country club by New York.
Yeah,
and a lot of racing in Florida and Farah. Just to showcase the car there as well. Last year, I drove the Praga at the Thunderhill race, the 25-hour. I still involved. I'm not working directly for the factory anymore, but I got so much knowledge with the car and a a lot of mileage under my belt, that a lot of teams or customer racing teams calling me to help them out still. So yeah, it's still my baby because I did all the development and all the little things. So I still like to drive the car. I have to be honest.
They're such a cool looking car too, and quick. I remember at Thunder Hill. Man, that you guess, and that was one dirty race, wasn't it?
Oh, last year it was crazy.
Yeah.
I always expect, Thunder Hill. It can be everything. I did the race a couple of times now, and it's always something. This year was probably was most of the most difficult ones. With this year, we had so much mud on the track. It was more a dirt track than a road track.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
But we survived. We finished really well, we finished. Shame on me. I have to double check my result on my Instagram. But we finished. We finished page 3 overall.
Yeah.
No, it was a good race. It was a good race.
Yeah, I was in the Nissan GTR that we finished. We won ES class and first overall in that, and finished 5th overall. So we're.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
At the night I found a Nissan in front of me, and I drove for a long time with him. Maybe it was you, because he had so much light on his car, and my lights were so dirty because of the mud. So I found a way to use the Nissan in front of me to see where to go, because some parts, it was a tough one this year.
Oh, it was just bizarre, and not to go too far off this track here, but I had a stint where I don't know if I'm trying to remember, it was like I think around 11 o'clock on Saturday night when I was out on slicks, and because it was kind of that in between stuff, and it started raining, and they kept saying, the rain's going to go away. Can you stay out there on slicks to avoid a stop? And I was like, yeah. And I think I drove for an hour and a half on slicks when it started pouring. But, got some heat into them, and they were just fine. And I had a blast out there just slipping and sliding around on slicks in the rain. So for an hour and a half. So great fun. Yeah.
No, it was tough, and we needed all our skills to keep the car on the track. But what you said, if you had the flow and you had the temperature in your tires, there was still a possibility to go fast. The line was really tight, of course, the racing line, but it was possible for sure. Yeah.
Well, it might be interesting to, because I think there was more mud than there was rain at that point, and I don't know whether a rain tire would have been a whole lot better with the mud conditions we had. So, anyways, it was a bizarre deal. So, yeah. But
it was a fun race. So I'm still driving for Praga sometimes. And what I said, next to my racing career, I started a couple of companies, all in racing. So what I did in Holland. I started a race school where you can get your race license in 24 hours, your official VIA license. Mm-hmm. Because, I knew a lot about racing. I'm still really enthusiastic. When I'm telling you this story, I'm still smiling. So I thought, let's continue with the racing business. So I started this school, and that was different than the traditional racing schools in Holland. Because normally it takes 2 weeks, but the clientele, the clients that come over to my school, they want to do it quick, they want to start racing, and 2 weeks, that's a big investment, of course. And second of all, it costs a lot of time. So my concept that I started already 10 years ago was right away a success. And we made a big group of new race car drivers in Holland, in the way that, they got the race license and they want to start racing. So that was my first project, my first company. Uh-huh. And then I started a tractor organization. I call it in Holland a business club, because if you call it a business club in Holland, then it can be beneficial for your tax returns.
Smart.
So and I have to be honest, a lot of my clients, they own a company or they do some business. So racing and business goes together in the way that we organize track day evenings and days at different tracks. and they of course they meet up and they go on the track. They have fun. We got instructors teaching them how to drive. They're all in the pit lane, and after the sessions they meet up. So sometimes they do business. So that's my tractor organization, and then the third company I started in Holland was the race series because the request came from my members from, hey, Danny, I'm training a lot with you, all different tracks, but I'm ready to race now. So I thought, I don't want to send my clients away. Let's start a race series. That's still going. It's also different than the traditional race weekends because we organize races on Wednesday evening. Again, for to make it really compact, we start at Zandvoort is allowed to race in the evening. So we start at 5:00 with a free practice, and then we have qualifying 20 minutes and 2 races of 50 minutes, 50. So that's the whole evening, and the 50 minutes races has a pit stop in between. So you can also share a car if you want. So that was the next step. To keep my clients happy, and then the last step why I came to the US was the tire business. And I thought, hey, I got the race series, I got the race school, I got the tractor organization. People need tires. Let's do that also in house. Let's start the tire business. So I started the tire business in Europe, and with Hankook, and more and more championships we start supplying that our own championship, but also the Supercar Challenge, the Ford Fiesta, the Mazda MX-5, and many more series with prototypes and everything. So the business was growing, and I was still racing, of course. And then I was racing in the US, and I thought, why not to start Hankook in the US? Because I saw the opportunity. So I went to Hankook Europe. The motorsport division is based in Germany. I said, hey, I think I can start Hankook in the US. And first they thought, that I was losing my mind because they tried so hard themselves to get the market share, as a spokesperson for Hankook back in the days, that they tried really hard to get foot on the ground over here. Yeah. But I didn't understand racing. I said, I think I got the information, or I got the combination in the way that I know a little bit about racing. I know a little bit about tires. I'm racing there anyway. Let's get it started. And they said, Danny, good luck. so I had some sleepless nights, I have to be honest. So I started ordering containers, and then we made the agreement with Hankook to become Hankook Motorsports for North America. And there we go. Wow. So that was the first start 5 years ago in Florida. We started with the Power Championship. And it was not easy, I have to say, the Fire Championship is driving at Homestead. They're using the banking, the infield. So that was another thing also to test if the tires were capable to drive on the banking, and everything was safe and fine, of course. So we started at a difficult point, but we showed that the tire able is to drive on bankings, and it's a good tire in the US market. Huh. Just a quick overview.
No, it's interesting, and you're right. I mean, years and years and years ago, back in another century, I was very involved with Hankook and helping them launch certainly the brand in Canada, and never really got any traction, no pun intended there, in the US, but had a really fortunate opportunity to go to Korea and work with them there a little bit, and did some really cool stuff over there. So anyways, it's great to see Hankook so involved. And what I like about what you're doing with Hankook now is, I mean, it's kind of involved with so many different levels of the sport,
yes,
more and more with the so-called low-budget endurance racing series like Lucky Dog and WRL and stuff like that. Is that sort of I guess, is that part of the strategy, is to get in with racers at a lower level, but also because I know that Hankook's involved with some, top level, GT racing worldwide and stuff like that as well. So what is the strategy, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's totally right. We have a product that for grassroots racing, like with the RS4 and with the DOT tire, the Z214s, and we got the full slick the F200. We supply, like you said, WRL, but we also supply DTM. It's really high tech racing,
Yeah.
and so yeah, our strategy is to cover the whole market. I think we have a really good product, especially for endurance racing. Also the compounds that work really well in different markets. And we got a product for it, so why not to do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the RS4 is a tire that they use in Lucky Dog and WRL. It's a tire that has a really stable performance, and one of our secrets is also in our sidewalls. We have a really stiff sidewall, so it holds up really well,
Yeah.
and that works with a lot of cars. So it's not only us, but it's also the clients who made the decision, of course, and pick our brand. And yeah, we try to do everything to give them the right information, the right knowledge, and the right kindness to help them performing how they want, of course.
Okay.
So it's come from both ways.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to give me the trick here. So let's pretend that this weekend, if I could, I would be racing in a WRL or Lucky Dog race this weekend, running the RS4. And I don't know. Let's pick a pretty common platform, a 3 Series BMW.
I thought already that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't everybody have one of those? So yeah. Give me the tricks. Give me the secrets. What should I know?
I think you can go away with the 230, the 275 35 18.
Okay.
That's a tire. That's also the beauty that I have with Hankook. The lines with Korea are really short, so I can also do the development of the tires. So I can also pick the sizes, and I think, okay, this is the sizes that work, and that's even a better size. A little lower sidewall. That's why I said the 275 35 18. That's, for example, a new tire that we just introduced a year ago, just to have even a more competitive tire. So I suggest to take that one under your BMW and run it around 35 till 38 psi hot.
So I guess the question then becomes, I mean, I probably don't get asked this question as often as you do, but I've been asked it a million times. It's like, somebody walks up and goes, what tire pressure should I run in my car? And that's kind of like, well, I mean, you can't answer it without more information, right? Well,
Yeah.
how do you, I guess, short of just coming back and saying, okay, what kind of car do you have? What kind of, what do you, how do you tell a driver who doesn't have somebody to ask that question, like, where do they even start?
Yeah, that's a good question. In the way that it depends what you said. I like to hear the information. If the weight of the car, is the car really heavy, or is it a lightweight car? Is it a prototype? It's a GT car. That makes a lot of difference. But also a lot of difference is the track temperature, of course. How warm is the track today? How warm is it tomorrow? What kind of track do you drive? Do you drive on a track with what I just said, with a lot of banking, a Homestead, for example, or Daytona?
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes really close together, and of course, all the end and the last person in the car had to make the decision as well. What he likes, your style of driving is maybe different than my style of driving. So that also affects a lot of, as you know, then that's also the beauty of the sport. There's a lot of things that you can change and you can tune on the car to make it perfect. So to make a really long story a little shorter, there's always a range that we can suggest, that we think, okay, you probably had to be like this, where you have to be, for example, with our slick tire, the F200. It's the optimal temperature is around 30 psi hot. A Radical is driving a little lower, and some GT cars at Daytona they drive a little bit higher again. So you have to find the sweet spot always, and that's always the advice that we give, and to help the driver to inform in the right way. So yeah, and then there's also the difference between an F200, a Z214, the DOT, and the R Source again. So there's a lot of little things that you should know, or that we like to help you with, and just to get the best performance out of your car and your tires.
So I'm curious to kind of pick your brain a little bit on the driving style thing. Obviously, I mean, I love tires because they allow me to drive, but, I'm a driver, right? And obviously you're very quick on a car. So, first of all, how would you describe your driving style?
I like to take a lot of speed with me into the corner, and I like to tail brake, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's getting more and more, and this will be a really nice discussion, I think, with you.
Yeah, because I'd have to
even offline.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, as you know, I'm 36 years old. I'm getting older, so but I grew up with the style that I still can double clutch and all those things that the new drivers don't even know anymore. They just watch the shift lights and then they shift, and then they don't even know if the car what a clutch is almost.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays with the cars and with the technology, and we shift in 15 milliseconds, upshift, downshift, it goes all really quick. So the style of driving that's my point of view, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think, nowadays we can take a little bit more speed into the corner and still downshift. And like back in the days, we were downshifting, double clutch, be ready for the corner already. Then you turn in, you go back to throttle again. And I think nowadays it's more, you still have to, of course, so certain corners that you have to rotate more than because you want to have a better exit. But nowadays, what I do and what I like to take a lot of speed with me into the corner. So I do a lot of tail braking. I keep my nose a little bit down when I go in. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me. That's kind of, I would describe my style that way a lot as well. I mean, I just, I think, to me, the beauty of that approach is you can actually turn in slightly earlier, which means you've got less radius or a larger radius, which means you can carry that more speed in, but you use the weight transfer to kind of change the direction of the car, rotate the car, and away you go again. So you can still carry the speed in, but you can get back to power just as early as you ever could before, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And what I said, I'm born at a skid school, so I was always playing with cars, with oversteer, understeer, and so I trust my car control. So I like to have a really I like to have a good front, a front that turns in, and if my back is a little loose, I will catch it. So that's the confidence I have and my trust in my own driving.
Okay, so going back to tires here, let's pretend I'm in my 3 Series BMW, whatever makeup of that 3 Series is, and I'm running, let's say 36 psi hot, and the car just doesn't quite turn in the way I want it to. I'd like a little bit more front grip in the car. What do you do with the tire pressures?
You can put a little lower in the front if you have to, but you can better steer first to see if the spread is right. If you can, it's always really good with the tire just to measure the inside, the middle, and the outside. See if the spread and if you use the whole tire. It can also be the case that you're only using the inside, so maybe you're not using the whole pad of the tires. That can be one thing in the front, and that's also what you have to see in the rear. It's really easy to make a car snappy, to raise the pressure in the rear, and it will get looser. So yeah, there's with you want to have a good front. You can do something with roll bars, the shocks, and the tires, of course, to make it good. And what I said, it's always important to see your numbers. If you have a lot of understeer in the front, can be the case that the middle number from your spread is too high, so you're overinflated. You dropped it a little bit, and you should have a little bit more grip.
So you're talking about using a tire pyrometer, or do you use a pyrometer, or do you use the infrared
I
to
use the
take temperatures.
parameter. I always put a needle. I put a needle in the tire. That's in my opinion a little bit more precise.
So, for people listening to this, maybe just kind of talk a little bit about that, because, one of the mistakes I see a lot of drivers make, they get a pyrometer and they go out there, they drive around, they do a session or they run a race or whatever. They come into pit lane, they get out of the car, they take a swig of water, they walk around, they take their helmet off, and then about 10 minutes later, they go up to the tire and they take tire temperatures. And it's like, sorry, that's not going to help you anyway, right?
No, you're totally right. If you can be even more competitive in that point. Like you said, don't forget the water from the beginning, but also come in the pit hot, like fast. Don't let them cool down too much in your outlap already, because, it's all really precise in racing. So how better you measure, how better idea you have what you're doing. So I suggest to keep even a little bit speed in your outlap and forget the water, what you said, for a little bit.
So and just keeping in mind, even if you do a bit of a cool off lap, hopefully it's not a real slow cool off lap, because the tire temps are just gonna, so you're then going to get the inside edge hotter, or I guess the outside edge is going to cool off more, because you got negative camber. So the outside edge is going to cool off quicker. So when you come in, seeing a spread of, what do you like to see as a spread from inside to outside across the tread? Because
you're Canadian, right?
Yes, yeah.
I can talk in Celsius.
Yeah, well, I'm ambidextrous, so yes.
Yeah, no, it's ideal to have a spread. If you with every step, call it 15 degrees, 10 to 15 degrees. So the inside is 10, 15 degrees warmer than the middle again, and the middle is another step of 10, 15 degrees to the outside again. That's the window. That's what you like to see. So what's exactly in Fahrenheit is around 45.
Yeah,
Every step 45.
Yeah, okay. And again, sort of keeping in mind a little bit that if if the last two corners of the track are big, long, sweeping, fast right-hand corners, and then you come into pit lane, the temperatures you're getting on the left side tires might be more important than the temps that you're going to get on the right side. So don't fool yourself by just taking the temps on the right side and go, oh, we're going to adjust things off of that, right?
No, 100%. Yeah, you have to use some common sense from that point as well. And that reminds me right away to another tip that I like to give to the drivers from Hankook. For example, what you just said, you have a lot of corners to the left or a lot of corners to the right. Our tires, the Z214s, the DOTs, they have a directional arrow on the tire, and also the F200 slicks. After the first heat cycle, all the molecules are together, and you're allowed and able to rotate them on the rims.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't matter if the arrow goes in opposite direction. After the first heat cycle, I expect they will not be gone after the first heat cycle. Everything is possible, of course.
Yeah.
But if you want to stretch your tire life, and you have a track that all the time goes to the left, you can expect that your right front and your right rear will go first, because that get all the stress. So if you're smart, you keep an eye on your tire wear, and you see, hey, now it's time to change. Then you swap them from side to side and on the wheels, and then you can get even more life out of your tires. That's possible with our tires.
Well, it's great that that's the case, because that does help our budgets. But the other thing is just thanks for sharing that, because I don't think a lot of people would know that. Can I step back here and ask? I want to go a little bit deeper on something. When you said, I said I got a little understeer, I want some more front grip, and you said lower the pressures. I hear a lot of drivers say, "Oh, to get more grip, I want to raise my tire pressures," and I know that there's no like one size fits all kind of a thing. Like it always is that way, because you could, if you're running 20 psi and you went down to 18, that's not going to help you get more grip, right?
No.
But it's
no. There are limits. That's totally right.
Yeah.
It's, 100%.
So can you explain I guess, to listeners, the reasoning for lowering the tire pressures, giving you more grip?
Yeah, if I'm talking about, like a little bit extreme, the tire is round. That's also why I said that the temperatures are in the middle, a little bit higher. So if you lower the pressure a little bit, then your tire will go a little bit more flat. So you will have more tire on the ground, basically.
So it's more compliant, I guess.
Yeah, it's more compliant. So you're not driving on the middle of the tire anymore. So that can be a case. It's an example, of course, that you have to see what your tire pressures are in the spread. So if you lower your pressure, then you will get a more flat tire, call it, and you will increase grip.
Right. Can we go to talk a little bit about heat cycles? And, specifically, let's talk about the RS4, because I think there's probably a lot of people listening to the podcast who use that tire. What do you see in terms of performance of the tire, in terms of, where is its peak? How far does it fall off after some period of time? And maybe what are some tips you can give that would extend the life of the tire, how it's stored, and any of those kinds of things. Anything you've got on that?
Yeah, with the RS4s, they use it a lot in endurance racing because the performance is really stable. The heat cycles, it depends. It depends, of course, how long you drive, of course. But what we see in the Lucky Duck and WRL racing, they can, some of the cars, they can even get away with one set, and some of the teams, they use a little bit more sets. An heat cycle, you can, it's a cycle that the performance is still there, and it's cooling off, and you go again, And with the RS4s, it's hard to predict in the way. Some of the teams, they go to 20 heat cycles, and I also some drivers are calling, "Hey, Danny, I only have 5 heat cycles and the tires are gone." So it has a lot of difference again, and it can be one side, but also the other side. In general, the RS4 is a strong tire. You can also feel it's kind of heavy. If you compare it with our competition, you can feel our tire is a little bit more heavy than our competitors. That means that we have more rubber, so it also takes a little bit longer to warm up. But it also gives you a little bit more tire, call it over the whole race. Mm-hmm. If you have a tire that's super thin and light, that heats up really quick because it's less material. Sounds maybe really simple, but that's how it is. And that's with the RS4. So it takes a little to heat up. And when it's on temperature, it keep performing for a stable time and for a long time. I have to say, every tire you can destroy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's with the RS4. So it's the request came last year from Lucky Duck. I say, hey, we like the tire so much. Can you start storing them? Because before that we didn't store them. We only stored the C214s, the DOTs, and the F200, the full slicks, and the reins, of course. So since this year we start store the RS4s and supply them to the endurance series. So far so good. The next WRL race will be at Daytona. That's, as we all know, that's always a tire killer.
Yeah.
And that's a track where you always have to be really on top of your tires. It doesn't matter which brand you're driving with. It's always you have to respect the track and the tire.
So my experience at Daytona on the 24 and stuff like that is I mean, to get maximum grip, so the fastest lap time, there's a certain tire pressure you want, but if you run that long enough, it overheats the tire, because there just isn't quite enough, pressure to support the tire, and you start to get, I guess it's too much flex or whatever but then you beat up the tire, and that's when tires start to blow on the banking. Is that something that people should be watching about? Is don't just go for the ultimate, got the most grip, but think about what's going to keep the tire lasting longer. Is that something to keep in mind at Daytona?
In Daytona, it's really important not to start too low. What you see a lot over there is that you start too low in pressure, and you will destroy the sidewall most of the time in the infield, to be honest. And when the infield is cracked, or when the sidewall is cracked, there's the opportunity that the tire will go bad, that the tire will not survive. So that's the thing that you always have to keep in mind in Daytona. That's why I always said run a little bit higher in pressure, and just to be on the safe side. But we also discovered at Daytona with the call it a long banking, to drive a little bit higher in pressure will help you with rolling resistance.
Yeah. So
you will be faster.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of a difference that makes, right?
Yeah. It's you can try yourself at home. Take all the pressure out of your tires from your street car and try to push it.
Yeah.
It will be tough, and put a couple psi in the tires, and you can push it. That's how simple it is. With the same as with racing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to be again in the right window of the tire with pressure and the temperature.
Huh. Yeah, that kind of shocked me. Just like 1 or 2 psi just freed the car up and made it roll a little better. And every tire that I've ever been on is like that. But you wouldn't think that a car that's got a lot of power and stuff like that would make a difference, but it really does.
Yeah, especially at Daytona, for sure.
Yeah. And so going back to driving style, I just want to ask this question and see if what we can learn from this is some tires, and I won't name any brands, but some tires they work really well in one direction, and other tires work well when you kind of blend the two or combine the two. Does that make sense to you? Like, some tires are really good in longitudinal braking and acceleration, but you start to kind of combine some cornering. So if you really want to trail brake in the corner, the tire is kind of saying, do one or the other, but not both. Whereas other tires are really good at kind of blending that. Any comments on that? And I guess where Hankook tires are, especially the RS4, because, and I'm selfish here. I know I'm going to do a WRL or Lucky Dog race this year on RS4, so I'm trying to get the inside scoop, Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I know about which brand you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I think it's the construction, how the tire is made. That's why it makes some difference on the turning and braking. I think it's not the case by Hankook.
Okay.
So I cannot help you so much with that question. So
actually, you did.
Yeah.
You just told me that I'm good with my driving style of blending braking coming into the corner and carrying that speed and trying to blend that.
Yeah. Keep doing that. I do the same.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to know that. So.
Yeah.
So, Danny, I like asking guests on the show for their speed secret, their one piece of advice that they would give drivers. And this could be tire related, it could be driving technique. I mean, given your background of driving and instruction and skid training, all that kind of stuff, if I just walked up to you right now and said, Danny, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Okay, now I'll give you my secret. I hope not everybody's listening.
Okay.
What I do as a driver, because I do a lot of long distance racing. My last race was at Bathurst, the 12 hours
Yeah.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Was a nice race, but and I drive for RHC Storm Motorsport team.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to say that again. RHC Jurgensen Storm Motorsport team, and with the BMW, a GT4. And what I do in the race, but you can do it also in the Praga or other prototypes. I try to feel what my tires are doing. You know, if I feel I got a lot of understeer, I will try to drive a little bit more on the exit. So I try to save my front, and I try to get my rear more working. So I try to get the balance of the car back, because when you're driving in a long distance race, you know, you cannot go into the pit. You have to survive. You have to do a good job, otherwise you get fired.
Yeah.
So what I do, I try to feel and feel what the car is doing during the stint. Call it an 80-minute stint, and see how I can keep the balance between the front and the back. So that's my tip. What I do with tires.
Okay.
Make that sense?
Yeah. So just to dig a little deeper and clarify, I mean, so let's say that you feel like the car's got some understeer, and you're kind of, you know, you could just keep driving it the same way, but you'd feel like you're going to beat up those front tires and just destroy them if you keep doing that.
Yeah.
What specifically would you do with your driving technique?
Yeah, just be a little bit calmer with the front. So, for example, at Coda, you got the carousel. It's a really long corner to the right. You know, if you feel that's a corner where you can totally destroy the front, where you can get a lot of understeer, so you be a little bit more calm in that corner, just to save the front, and try to work on the rear, that the rear will go away as well, and that you keep the balance of the car good. So if you push too hard, then it will get worse, right? If you keep pushing really hard in the front, you will get more and more understeer. If you keep sliding and drifting, you will get more and more oversteer. So you try to balance it out as long as you can. That's my trick. What I do with tires.
So some of it is patience, right? It's it's knowing it's knowing that, you know, if I just keep pushing this hard, I'm just going to destroy the tires, and I'm going to keep getting slower. But maybe if I just kind of admit that, okay, this is the limit now, I'm going to drive it to this limit, no more, and not try to push it over that edge, then these tires are going to last a little longer. And maybe my ultimate lap time is not quite as fast, but the average lap time over a long period of time is greater.
Yeah. That's I totally agree with that. That's also why it's important to, in your first couple laps, when you just, you know, the car is filled up, it's your stint again, new tires, everything ready to go. Don't push it too hard in the beginning, you know, because if you push too hard in the beginning, you will feel it on the end. If you start a little bit slower, heat it up properly, don't lean too hard on it. You know, you're full with fuel, everything is heavy. And then you can stretch out your tire life for a longer period, and your whole stint will be faster.
Yeah.
So stay a little calm, be a little patient, and just to drive the best stint that you can.
It's funny, drivers are not the most patient people in the world.
No, that's also what my girlfriend said. Danny, talk slowly. Yeah? Talk slowly. Yeah. You're not racing.
Right. Hey, so how do people learn more about Hankook Motorsports and follow you and contact, all that kind of stuff? Can you share some of the links and stuff like that? So.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for asking. We have a website, hankookmotorsports.com. All our products are on there. It's really easy. You click and you can order, easy like that. We have the social media. We have an Instagram, also Hankook Motorsport. And if you like to follow me personally, my full name, like you just said, Danny van Dongen. That's my Instagram account. Please, if you can follow me, I will try to follow you back.
Okay. Well, that's cool. And I'll put those links in the show notes as well. So,
cool. Thank you.
So Danny, this has been really cool. And yeah, I think you and I could spend like hours talking here, and we'll do it again. But more importantly, I want to bump into you at one of the racetracks sometime soon. And
oh yeah, for sure. We go. Yeah, I missed you I didn't know you was there at the 25 hours at 10 hill. But let's do a WRL race.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I've got I have some plans for a couple of those coming up. Hopefully, Lucky Dog at Oregon Raceway Park, and hopefully a WRL race later and stuff like that. I love doing those races because they're just fun.
I totally agree with that. It's just fun. It's low key, especially with Lucky Dog. What they organize around the events. It's more than only racing. It's really fun, and you drive all the time with a smile on your face. It's no politics, just drive.
and good bunch of people. So yeah.
I agree.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast, and just keep having fun out there.
For sure, I will do. Thank you for the insight.
One of the most effective and efficient learning systems in the Speed Secrets catalog is the online webinar. Sure, improving your driving mostly happens behind the wheel. But if you can learn things that will make every second on the track just a little bit more productive, why wouldn't you? Ross's webinars, both those that are live and those that are pre-recorded and downloadable, give you the opportunity to learn more about driving technique, physical and mental training, car setup and engineering, all without leaving the comfort of your home, or even having to put on a helmet, or for that matter, even having to get dressed. A wide range of topics is covered in the numerous downloadable webinars. They're all on the Speed Secrets website, and Ross is always preparing something new. To learn more about the Speed Secrets webinars, go to speedsecrets.com/webinars. Don't get left behind.